A highly debated topic in today's world is gun control. This often divisive topic will entice strong feelings whichever side you fall on. With ever increasing violence across the world, there may not be a more appropriate time to discuss the matter of gun control. So today we will discuss why gun control doesn't work. There is approximately one gun per citizen in the U.S. This suggests that when compared to the world, Americans are far more connected to weapons than those around the world. It is for good reason, after all. We won our independence from Great Britain by using the very weapons that are guaranteed to us in the Second Amendment. Sadly, there are politicians who fear the average everyday American from owning firearms. They stage a political sideshow that would rival the bearded lady at the circus. Oftentimes, the information used to present one side of the issue may be misleading. The pro-gun control crowd would have you believe that every crime committed in America was caused by a lawfully purchased gun. Well, I can't say that crimes aren't committed with weapons of everyday citizens, but how is it that we blame an instrument and inanimate object for crime and violence? We don't blame misspelled words on our pencils or vehicles for all the accidents that happen around the country. So why is it that we label guns as scary? I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that so many people were never introduced to firearms throughout their lifetimes, so they assume there is no need for them. It's no different than someone that is afraid to try a new food. They think they won't like it, but if they took the time to become familiar with it, they just might come to find out that it is rather good. And in the case of guns, that guns are not something to be feared. Having grown up around hunting and shooting my entire life, I know that if you treat guns with respect and handle them properly, there is virtually 0% chance that you will ever be injured by a firearm. I have to this day never seen a firearm laying on a table go off without anyone touching it. Baseless fear is not fear at all. It's ignorance at its finest. It's hard to ignore the facts. Chicago is considered to have some of the strictest gun control laws in the country, yet they boast the single most gun-related crimes in the nation. Logic would suggest that strict gun control laws only hurt the law-abiding citizen rather than deter crime. In a recent news conference, the police chief of Detroit stated that he has seen crimes across all categories decline after he urged citizens to arm themselves for protection. That is amazing information. A police chief advocating for an armed populace is a rare sight in America, but it seems to be working. In the same article, a former criminal stated that if Detroit citizens were armed like they are today, back when he was living the life of crime, that he would have seriously thought twice about where or who he would have robbed. This revelation is simply damning to any argument for stricter gun control laws. New York City also had strict gun laws take effect recently, and they are seeing a rise in crime after several years of decline. I think this evidence shows that gun control doesn't work. The second reason that gun control doesn't work is because it flies in the face of the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. According to dictionary.com, infringe means to commit a breach or infraction of, violate, or transgress. In layman terms, it means that this right is not to be touched or altered. The forefathers of this country were well aware of the abuses they suffered under the tyrannical government when they drafted the Bill of Rights. Our freedom was won by the barrels of everyday men: farmers, doctors, lawyers, blacksmiths, and bankers. Citizen militia, as it is so termed today, was the backbone of the fight for freedom. The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their arms. Alexander Hamilton. These words were spoke in a time when everyday militia and their arms were what stood against the tyrannical government and won us our freedom. Some argue that the Second Amendment is meant to protect the states by having a well-regulated militia, and in fact, isn't protecting individual rights. But if you look at the wording throughout the Bill of Rights, it is clear that the Bill of Rights is geared toward protection of individual rights. So it stands to reason that the framers of the Constitution were protecting the rights of the people, not the rights of the states. In a law review by Nelson Lund, he states, quote, "The Second Amendment does not even mention the right of the states to regulate the militia. Rather, it protects the right of the people. to keep and bear arms. This is exactly the same phrase used in the First Amendment and in the Fourth Amendment. In both cases, the phrase clearly protects individuals, not states' rights. Furthermore, the framers' intent to distinguish the rights of the people from those of the states is expressly manifested in the language of the 10th Amendment. To conclude that right of the people is synonymous with the phrase the rights of the states requires one to torture the text of the Constitution so badly that the document's obvious meaning is violated. End quote. So if the Second Amendment's intent was to protect individual rights and the phrase shall not be infringed was used, then any gun control laws are in direct violation of the right guaranteed to us by the Bill of Rights. The third reason that gun control doesn't work is simply the laws we already have don't stop crimes. Let's take a look at the shooting in Isla Vista, California. Elliot Rogers went on a shooting spree because, according to Rogers' 141-page manifesto, women didn't find him attractive. California boasts some of the most strict gun control laws in the nation, and Rogers broke a plethora of them before and during his rampage. In California, you are limited to purchasing one handgun a month. You must pass a background check, pass a handgun safety test, and wait 10 days prior to taking possession of the handgun. These laws are meant to prevent crime by making it impossible for criminals to obtain a handgun. It is also illegal to carry a loaded handgun on their person or in their vehicle. California and Isla Vista have laws forbidding the indiscriminately discharging of firearms into crowds of people. So Rogers broke gun control laws when he entered his car with a loaded handgun and by firing into crowds of people. An article on ConservativeDaily.com, Joe Otto states, quote, "At every step of the way, gun control laws failed to stop Elliot Rogers from committing these murders. Even if they were successful at stopping Rogers from arming himself, the fact that the first few victims were actually stabbed to death shows that this type of hatred will always find a tool to commit the crime." End quote. This example and so many more like it prove that you can have as many gun control laws as you want. People will find a way to get a gun to commit a crime. And if they have no gun, they will find another tool to carry out that crime. In closing, we have laid out several reasons why gun control doesn't work. Gun control measures already in place fail to stop gun crimes across the country every day. The most important document, the Bill of Rights, clearly states that the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, and data proving that in areas with higher gun ownership, there is less gun-related crime are very strong and valid reasons why gun control doesn't work. Thank you.
It's all done.
Save it though.
Save it to the best.